Yo, what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing, Mrs. Weedman?
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
Doing great.
I love that you're doing great. Hey, all you vipers out there in the world, hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. And Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal. And we are smoking Sub-Zero that was given to us by our friends at Midwest Terps, local caregiver grower here in Illinois. But before we talk about Midwest Terps, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about while we're smoking this doink that Mr. Weedman rolled. And I'd like to thank Ralph Wiley for getting me a cool-ass joint roller. I've been very happy the last couple of days rolling some big, nice doinks. And so we had a very busy weekend this weekend, didn't we, Mrs. Weedman?
We did.
We did two events, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. And on Saturday, we did the Holding It Down number tree, and that was thrown by the Legacy group, and also was at the Stash dispensaries in Orland Hills. And what a party. We got to see all of our friends that do all these events with us and stuff like that, and we had a blast. A lot of people coming to our table and buying stuff and hanging out with us and just enjoying the vibe that we throw. And we had our friends all around us. We had Smoke Signals, we had Spliff Society, and then we got to see some other people around the booths. And I'd like to thank everybody that threw us a bunch of weed, too. We were given weed, and also we were given weed.
Well, give and get.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Everybody at that event at the Holding It Down by Legacy, thank you so much for having us. It was a lot of fun. Great music. The DJ was great. Anything you want to add to that?
Oh, it's always a great time. And what we love about that event in particular is that there's always a new crowd. It's lots of new faces, and I think it's really important for new people to experience public consumption and safe consumption and socializing with consumption in a public space. I think it's just really cool, and it's great for people to experience. So we definitely saw a lot of new faces, and that's always great.
And a lot of old faces that we get to see at a lot of the events.
Yeah, we always look forward to that as well.
And then on Sunday, we did Brunch of Stoners, their Halloween festival. Mrs. Weedman, I do have to say, you banged out that tent.
Thanks.
It looked great. It looked very decorative, very fun. And we got to see a lot of people, new and old faces, and people that traveled all the way from the other side of the state to come over and hang out at Brunch of Stoners. And I'd like to thank everybody that came to our table and enjoyed some great weed from Ralph Wiley. And Midwest Terps sponsored us on Saturday at the Legacy Holding It Down, and then Ralph Wiley sponsored the table on Sunday. And phenomenal strains from both of them. And Sunday was such a fun event. It was so gorgeous out. Very windy, though. Almost had a mishap with the tent. The tent literally lifted up.
This is a 20 by 40 tent that has a metal frame, steel, like a galvanized steel frame. Mm-hmm. It's not light, but it kept kind of lifting off the ground. I thought for sure
you went to go watch Smoke Signal's table, so Courtney can go take a little smoke break, mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Briggs from Spliff Society is on the other side of the tent, and all of a sudden, and Ingrid's over there, and I'm at our side, and the tent literally lifts up off the ground.
They
grabbed their side. Briggs grabbed his side, and Ingrid. I didn't catch it, and it lifted up over all of our stuff that we had behind the tent, and came on, and all of a sudden I turn around and I see all of our stuff on. I'm like,
what the
hell happened? So yeah.
I came back and I'm like, how did everything move? It was just the tent moved.
It was crazy how that tent just lifted up like that. But I will have to say, everybody enjoyed the weed from both days. So much fun, so many good vendors, so many good people. It's just so great to be at events and be able to smoke cannabis freely, enjoy the social activity that cannabis brings, and share the love and share the stories and have a lot of fun. And just meeting new people and seeing old faces too, and be able to give lots of hugs and loves. And it's just such amazing. Both events were so great. Anything about Brunch of Stoners?
Oh, we always enjoy it. So This was the Halloween fest. So we were able to decorate the tent extra. So it had our regular 8 Decades decor in there. And then we had some Halloween decor on top of it. And how we have lucked out this entire year with Brunch of Stoners on a Sunday with amazing weather. I don't know. I mean, July was, or June, whatever that last
July,
one was.
it was hot,
It was
but it was still
freaking
beautiful,
hot.
though.
But it was amazing.
Yeah.
We have had like, we've just
Incredible
been
weather.
so fortunate.
We have not had rain at any
Yeah.
Brunch of Stoners events. And I'm bummed because the venue is now, we're not going to be going to the same venue anymore. Unfortunately, we're going to a new venue on the next one. But that venue we've done this whole year, that outdoor
It's great. It's
bocce
a nice
ball
space.
court garden that we get to use is just a great space. So thank you, Brunch of Stoners. Thank you, Legacy. Thank you, Midwest Terps. And thank you, Ralph Wiley, for sponsoring our table. Really appreciate it. So let's talk about what we're smoking right now.
Yep.
We are smoking Sub-Zero, which was given to us by Midwest Terps. And Sub-Zero is a strain that's captivating hybrid cannabis cultivar known for its potent effects, exceptional flavor profile due to its balanced nature and wide range of benefits. The strain has gained significant popularity among both recreational users and medical patients. And it's bred by the Oreos, and now I know why that smell is so crazy. Super boof.
Oh.
Sub-Zero offers a unique combination of flavors, effects, and growing characteristics, and set apart in the cannabis world. Some of the flavor and aroma, it's sweet, definitely sweet. Everybody who got to smell that was like, whoa, that smells so sweet. Earthiness, fruity, and spicy notes. Definitely fruity too. Every person that likes a fruity strain smelled that and was like, holy shit, that is fruity. The terpene profile is carafoliene, myrcene, my favorite, and limonene. And then the effects are euphoric uplift. Love when a pop-up comes on my screen when I'm reading. Relaxation, focus and clarity, and appetite stimulation. Uh-oh, Ms. Weedman. Medical benefits. It helps with chronic pain,
Great.
stress and anxiety reduction, sleep aid, and appetite stimulation, Mrs. Weedman. So that is Sub-Zero. And thank you, Midwest Terps, for throwing to the cause for tonight's show. We're going to enjoy it. And everybody that got to smoke it, I know enjoyed it. I think there was a picture thrown out there. I gave a nug to one of the volunteers at Brunch of Stoners, and he posted it. And he's like, Mr. Weedman always coming through, and this Midwest Terp Sub-Zero is the shit. So, yeah, super, 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 just amazing weekends and great weed. And now I want to talk about another strain that we're not going to smoke on this show. I want to. But let's talk about. So we have a friend that we've met. The first time we met this grower was at the growing. What was it called?
It was the Urban Legends.
Urban Legends Cup at Blue Island Beer Company. And he was talking to you at the table, and then you told him to come out. I was running the tent, and you told him to come out, and him and I talked, and we bullshitted, and he was telling me his story about growing and. It was amazing, but didn't really get to try any of his weed that first time that I remember. The second time we got to hang out with him was when we went to the Spliff Society event. And he came over to the table and just like blew my mind with some of the weed that he was showing me in the jars. And then we smoked a joint.
Smoked some
Actually,
with him,
he had like 6 joints in that little like that steamroller where you could put 6 joints in, and that was crazy. That fucking lit me up. But so he gave us some of his weed the first time. His name is Igneous. He's been growing for 16 years. He's a home grower, been growing for 16 years. And he gave me, because he listens to the show, he gave me one of my favorite strains, GG4. And then he also gave us some Sunday Ecstasy and a couple of other strains, but the GG4 blew my mind. So we've gotten to know him, and he's come to some of our events, and we chat on DMs. He's a phenomenal. His pictures that he shows me, he's masterful at his craft. And I've talked about a lot of growers, but I have not. And we've smoked some of his strains on the show. So he gave us a strain that I've never had before, and it's called Pure Crush. And before I tell the story what happened to Mrs. Weedman and I last night, I'm just going to read you a little bit about Pure Crush.
But he handed it to you and he said, this is not one for
the show.
Trying to function.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
This will
He
make
said,
you
do
feel
not
pretty
smoke
whacked.
this on the show.
Yeah.
And he goes, try it first, but I'm telling you right now, you will not be able to do this on the show. So potentially, this is called Pure Crush. And it is from Romulan Genetics, okay? And it's potentially the most potent indica-dominant flower you will ever get your hands on. Pure Crush is an absolute powerhouse of a cultivar. Extreme potency means it is not for the casual, new, or anything other than daily toker. Veterans who crave something extra heavy, delightful, Kush notes doused in sweet lime, gasoline, and earth are dominant flavors. I would definitely say, because I smell that little bit, it's got that funk to it, like this funky funk, just like Lake Effect by Midwest Trips. Both of those strains had this funk, man, that just blows my nose away. It is made up of a wonderful range of very similar plants that will smoke and grow alike, but a taste and flower appearance can range enough to make finding something remarkably unique. Highly likely with the entire pack or more. So this is an indica dominant. It's 95% indica. And its structure is Kush structure, typically stretching on the lower end. It's sweet lime, gasoline, Kush earthy. High is extremely heavy indica, very tasty, excellent for high experienced tokers. And it's if you're a home grower and you want to go on this website and buy it, it's easy to grow for any experience level. Okay, so now let's tell the story about this. So after Igneous told us not to like smoke this on the show because this will like put you out, I'm like, this is if you're telling me this is the strain I've been looking for sleepy sleep, nighttime strain.
Okay, but wait, something important that you just said. So he listens to our show frequently, and frequently enough that he caught on. And so if you are a new listener, what we do is partake at the beginning of the show. We, quote unquote, get normal, right? And part of this, the whole premise of what we do is to stomp the stigma of cannabis.
Yep.
So our agenda, the purpose of us smoking at the beginning of the show is because we enjoy it primarily. But really, we want people to see firsthand, now you can watch us on video even, the effects of the strain.
Right.
So we smoke it, Mr. Weedman talks about the strain, the anticipated effects of this strain, and then you see how the strain plays out in our behavior through the recording of the show. And some shows we talk really slow.
Really low.
And low. And some were like, blah, 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 blah. And so, so that strain would wipe us out. We would not be able to record on that.
So we smoked this on Monday night. So I wanted to smoke it so bad on Sunday, but we already had another joint already rolled. And so Monday night we rolled this up, and I was grinding. I brought the bag up to Mrs. Weedman to let her look at the nugs and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, these things are beautiful. Then when I was grinding it, the aromatics that came from this strain, and I said, you need to come down here and smell this now. Now it's all ground up in the grinder. Just smell it. And you're like, oh, this is going to be good. So we rolled the joint. We smoked about 85% of that joint. And when we were done, we were sitting in the studio, and Mrs. Weedman couldn't get up off the ground, and I was basically jibber jabbering a bunch of nonsense because you were like, "What are you saying?" And I couldn't move my legs.
But you wouldn't stop talking.
I wouldn't stop talking. This is the crazy thing. It made my body limp, but my brain function and my talking were clear to me anyway.
Right. But your body was so
my
relaxed.
body was just so melting. And I'm going to say this. Oh wait, before I say this. So we go upstairs. I'm pushing Mrs. Weedman up from behind, and she's in front of me, and I'm pushing her up the stairs to get her up the stairs because she was moving very slow. So, and then she had something to do, and I said, "I'm going upstairs. I can't function right now." And I get upstairs, and I brush my teeth, and I get in, and Yuki's already laying in bed, and I lay on my stomach, and I fall flat. It was like a tree.
Yeah, you just
fell over. Boom, like Rocky hitting the floor in Rocky 3 when he gets knocked down, he just goes straight face plants to the canvas. And I hit, and I'm laying like my head is like partially on Yuki, and you come upstairs, and I literally said, I can't move my body.
Yeah.
I literally cannot move my body. I said, I can talk to you right now, I can hear you clearly, but literally cannot lift my arms off this bed. I have I am so, it felt like someone put 1,000-pound like boulder on my back. And this is not a bad thing.
Right, it was good.
My body was so relaxed, and I had no motor function. I literally, and about like 15 minutes later, when you were done, I was able to move. It was just such a relaxing moment.
And for the 15 minutes while I was getting ready for bed, he was paralyzed on the bed,
laughing.
He was just jabbering away. I was like, "What are you saying?"
I
couldn't hear a single thing. I kept saying, "What?" Like, shut up.
I was talking just a bunch of nonsense, but most of the time I was talking about going how high
I'm so high, I can't move. My leg is stuck. And oh my God, I'm so high.
I will say this. I haven't been that stoned. Now, I get high, but I haven't been stoned.
Like, yeah. We also, though, on our way upstairs from the basement, we stopped in the kitchen and we were having giggles.
Oh, my
I don't
God, we
remember
were
what
laughing.
We
were just talking.
Maybe we were just talking. I think
We were talking
refilling
nonsense.
our glass of water.
Yeah,
and
we
getting
were
ready
just
to go
busting
up.
chops with one another, and we just started laughing, like giggling,
Cracking up.
Oh my God, it was like hard,
Yeah.
heavy stomach giggles.
Yeah.
But going back, I have not been that stoned in probably like 4 years. Now, I've been high. There's a difference to me when you're high and when you're stoned. I was fucking stoned. And I knew it too. When I was laying on that bed, I'm like, I was laughing so hard because how fucking stoned I was. And I'm like, and I think I said to you, I yelled when you were, we cannot smoke this on the show.
Yeah.
I'd be like this, you know, just done. But I will tell you this. If you can buy those seeds, if you're a home grower or a grower, you could buy those seeds. I highly suggest if you need a heavy indica, medicated indica, that is the strain for you. I felt no pain in my body. I slept. I had to get up and go to the restroom, bathroom, like around 6 a.m. But I slept for 6 hours. Like
Solid.
I don't even think I moved. Literally, don't even think I moved.
Yeah, there was no tossing and turning.
There was not
Nothing.
even finding a comfortable spot.
Right.
My body was in comfort. Didn't
Yeah.
even need the bed. I felt like I was floating. And for all you people that need medication that use cannabis for medication or not, if you use it socially, but you want something to couch lock you while you lay on the couch and do nothing or go to sleep, I'm telling you right now, find somebody that can grow this pure crush for you. I'm going to talk to Earl and tell him I'll buy the seeds. I need you to grow this for me continuously because this was pure medication. Now, I rotate my strains pretty much when I smoke. I don't really smoke the same strain every day, you know, and I try to mix it up. Variety is the spice of life, and you shouldn't smoke the same strain every day. You should move it around a little bit. And but this one would be hard not to smoke every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was talking to Igneous today, and just telling him how much I enjoyed the strain. And he goes, "Try a bong rip." He goes, "When I do a bong rip, I get hot flashes for like 15 minutes."
Whoa. Whoa. Like it's just knocking you out.
It's just if you're
It's
taking
like-
a beaker bong rip, like the way way I take bong rips, I'm telling you right now,
You're out.
I'm done. That's a one bowl done bonger for me, you know, and but I will tell you what, if you can find this strain to grow, buy the seeds for somebody that grows and ask them if you're a medic, because I've never seen this strain, never heard of this strain, never saw it in any dispensary that I know of, never knew of any grower that grew this strain. Get your hands on this. Get your hands on this fucking strain because it is magical. Just try it. I'm telling you. So, what was your feeling on it though at the end there?
Yeah. I mean, it was great. I slept through the night. I didn't wake up from pain. We had I love a strain that gives me some giggles, but it gave us giggles without giving us although you had the chills in the beginning, which you usually
heavy indicas do that to me sometimes, like a heavy,
but
pure.
usually it's too much sativa gives you the shivers. Not
Depends.
Yeah.
Depends.
And so you had that, and then it was just interesting. It had a lot. It had some. It was
depth.
Very like you knew. You were altered.
Yeah.
Let's just say, right?
Oh yeah. I was stoned.
It was good.
I'll admit it. I was stoned. So, I'm pretty high. Thanks, Midwest Trip, for that Sub-Zero. That's good stuff,
That was
man.
tasty.
Oh, man. So tasty. And I know so many people got to enjoy that, too. So I also like to shout out to our friend Jake, a friend of the show.
Yeah.
We saw him yesterday. We saw him on Saturday, and he drew us these, if you could see him, he drew us these awesome drawings. One says the Grow Hour, and then it has the logo, the Weedman 420 logo, and then number 3 podcast to listen to. And then he drew an 8 decades one. What does it say over there?
Stomp the stigma.
Yep. So thank you, Jake. We appreciate these awesome. They're on. If you don't watch on YouTube, Jake, if you listen on Spotify or whatever you listen to, we hung them on the wall for the show tonight. We want to thank you so much for your kindness. We appreciate you. You've been listening for a while, and you've been a good friend to the show. So thank you so much. So we got nothing coming up the rest of the month.
No, we are event free.
If you want us to come to hang out at an event, I'm not looking to set up a table.
We'll go be social.
Yeah, we'll go be social and I'll bring my kit and we'll roll joints for people at a table. But I'm kind of glad taking a little break for the rest of the month. It's kind of nice. And but there is plenty of events out there if you're interested in going. Isn't there one this Saturday down in Tilton again? What is it? No Coast,
Yes.
which is like home growers versus caregiver, not caregiver, craft growers. It's a competition, and I don't know how many. So that's in Tilton. There's always a lot of events going on. There's so much fun. If you go to them, you can buy some really good weed at them too. And but like I said, you can find our friends at Ralph Wiley at a lot of these events, and you can find our friends Midwest Terps at a lot of these events. So support the local cannabis scene and go to these events, because as more people go to them and enjoy what cannabis experience and the social aspect of cannabis is all about, you'll find that you'll meet a lot of people that you'll see over and over again. You become friends with them. Right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So check it out. So, and also, don't forget, 8decades.com. Check out Mrs. Weedman's baby. Go on 8decades.com and check out all of our gear. Also, especially check out that awesome smoke set with the ashtray, the tool set, and the banging rolling tray. Check out 8decades.com, everybody, and check out our new low prices. All right, let's get this show started. You ready, Mrs. Weedman?
Let's do it. Let's
do this. Federal agency examines core questions about medical marijuana for cancer, including as an opioid alternative to treat pain. A federal government agency has published a wide-range series of scientific reports on marijuana and cancer as a part of the effort to better understand core questions around patient relationships with cannabis, including sourcing, costs, behavioral patterns, patient-provided communications, and reasons for use. One study looks specifically at patients who use medical marijuana as an alternative to opioids to treat their cancer-related pain. Published in the special issue of the Journal of National Cancer Institute, JNCI, monographs, the package of 14 articles detailed the results of broad, federally funded surveys of cancer patients from a dozen agencies, designated cancer centers across the country, including in areas where marijuana is legal, permitted only for medical purposes, or still outlawed. An introduction by the National Cancer Institute officials describes the project as an initial effort to address major knowledge gaps, such as understanding how cancer patients access and use cannabis, assessing the perceived risk and benefits with its use, and examining whether cancer patients discuss cannabis use with their healthcare providers during treatment. The individual reports cover an array of issues covered in the patient surveys, the official explained, highlighting key topics related to cannabis use, such as sourcing of cannabis-associated cost, behavioral factors associated with cannabis use, such as smoking, drinking, or using other substances, patient-provider communication on cannabis use during treatment, ethnic variations in pattern, sources, and reasons for cannabis use, as well as methodological concerns related to survey data analysts. A main finding of one study led by the NCI research, for example, is that patients' reported use of cannabis since diagnosis varied only slightly by legal status. Of those surveyed between September of 2021 and August 2023, 34.3% of patients who resided in states where marijuana was legal reported using a substance, compared to 31.5% medical-only states and 24.7% states where cannabis was illegal. It is all just under the third, 32.9% of patients reported using cannabis, with respondents reporting that they use marijuana primarily to treat cancer and treatment-related symptoms such as difficulty sleeping, pain, and mood changes. The most common perceived were for pain, sleep, stress, and anxiety, and treatment side effects, the report says. Authors wrote that the large geographical diverse survey demonstrates that patients are using cannabis regardless of its legality and their state of residence. In general, they observed cancer patients perceived that benefits of using cannabis outweighed the risk. Another analysis conducted at data from 2021 to 2022 found that about 1 in 6 patients were actively using cannabis at the time of survey completion, while about 26% reported having used the substance since the cancer diagnosis. While authors of the report noted that perspectives about cannabis use and education varied widely among healthcare professionals, surveyed 72% said that cannabis was safe and 57% said marijuana is beneficial for patients. 4 in 10, 39% healthcare professionals felt comfortable providing guidance to patients about cannabis use, the paper adds. However, only 1 in 8, 13%, felt knowledgeable about the topic of cannabis. Go to school for it. Among patients in the study, the most common modes of consumptions were gummies, 33%, and smoking was 30%, while the most common reason for use were insomnia at 46%, pain was 41%, and mood was 39%. Another study looked at marijuana use among patients with cancer in different stages, finding that survivors diagnosed with cancer at advanced stages were more likely to consider using cannabis than diagnosed at non-advanced stages. Specifically, the odds of a patient considering cannabis use were 63% higher among cancer survivors diagnosed in stages 3 and 4 than among the diagnosed of stages 1 and 2, the research found. Researchers who looked at patients' costs associated with marijuana use during cancer found that the median out-of-pocket cost for cannabis was $80 per month. Men and people 45 and older, meanwhile, tended to spend more than $100 a month on, or more on marijuana. Of the 166 patients who stopped using cannabis early or used less than preferred, 28% attributed to the cost and 26% to lack of insurance coverage, the report found. Authors concluded using marijuana during cancer treatment may contribute to a significant out-of-pocket cost, with men and younger patients more likely to pay a higher cost. Another study in the special issue looking at cannabis and prescription opioids among cancer patients observed that the use of marijuana for cancer symptoms management as an opioid alternative, noting some demographic differences. Compared with white patients, wrote authors, black patients were less likely to use opioids for pain and more likely to report that cannabis was more effective than opioids. More broadly, 43.4% of participants reported using marijuana instead of opioids in managing pain. Hell yeah. Of those 398, 78.7% said the reason was because cannabis is safer. 79.6% white, 70.4% black, and 80% Hispanic or other races. 366, 72% said the reason was because cannabis is less addictive. 74% white, 53% black, and 76% Hispanic or other races. And 360, which is 71%, said the reason was because cannabis has fewer side effects. 71% white, 63% black, and 74% Hispanic or other races, the study says. The lead author of that research, University of Buffalo psychology professor Rebecca Ashar, said that the university press release that guidelines surrounding cannabis use for patients with cancer have not caught up with what patients are actually doing. In some healthcare systems, patients with opioid prescriptions are screened for other drugs, and patients who test positive for cannabis can have the opioid prescriptions revoked, the release says. This leads to patients who might be affected by those rules to withhold information from providers, complicating care and creating additional problems related to interactions with other drugs. Ashar said that at the time of this study, my thoughts about next steps would have been about educating patients on what to do. But that ship has sailed, and patients are already using cannabis. Now I believe we need to be educating providers about how to talk to patients about cannabis, opioids, co-use, and substitutions. We need to do a better job at helping providers have those conversations, she said. The NCI monograph published last month is titled Cannabis Use Among Cancer Survivors and is available full online. Earlier this year, separate research of the possible therapeutic value of lesser-known compounds in cannabis says that the number of minor cannabinoids may have anti-cancer effects on blood cancer that warrant further study. The research published that in the journal Biofactors looked at minor cannabinoids in multiple melanoma, testing response in cell models to the cannabinoids CBG, CBC, CBN, and CBDV, as well as studying CBN in a mouse model. Together, our results suggest that CBG, CBC, CBN, and CBDV can be promising anti-cancer agents for MM. Authors wrote, due to the cytotoxic effect on MM cells lines and for CBN in the vivo xenograft mouse model of MM. While cannabis is widely used at certain symptoms of cancer and some side effects of cancer treatment, there's long been interest in the possible effects of cannabinoids on cancer itself. As the new study notes, most research on the front has looked like cannabinoids like THC and CBD. And as of 2019, literature review found the majority of studies have been based on vitro experiments, meaning that they did not involve human subjects, but rather isolated cancer cells from humans. While some of the research used mice, those mice, I tell you, get all the good stuff. Consistent with the latest findings, that study found cannabis showed potential in slowing the growth of cancer cells and even killing cancer cells in certain cases. A separate study found that some cases, different types of cancer cells affecting the same part of the body appeared to respond differently to various cannabis extracts. A scientific review of CBD earlier this year also touched on the diverse anti-cancer properties of cannabinoids that the author said present promising opportunities for future therapeutic interventions in the cancer treatment. Research published last year found that marijuana use was associated with improved cognitive and reduced pain among cancer patients and people receiving chemotherapy. While cannabis produces intoxicating effects and the initial high can temporarily impair cognition, patients who use marijuana products from state-licensed dispensaries over 2 weeks actually started reporting clearer thinking, the study of the University of Colorado found. Last year, The National Institute of Health awarded research $3.2 million to study the effects of using cannabis while receiving immunotherapy for cancer treatment, as well as whether access to marijuana helps reduce health disparities. Federal courts are also considering 2 separate lawsuits on legal access to therapeutic psilocybin among cancer patients in the end-of-life care. That's good news. Really good news. I mean, it says it's helping, and also all those other minor cannabinoids too, which we've talked about on the show, and a lot of them do have cancer-fighting agents in those minor cannabinoids, which is great. So, and I would like to thank Midwest Terps for that weed. I think it made me smarter.
Ah.
I was able to read that without a flaw. Long-term impact of cannabis during pregnancy exposed. Now, we've talked a lot about cannabis in pregnancy. We've talked about cannabis, using cannabis in breastfeeding. We've talked a lot, and still, to me, that the message is not 100% on using cannabis while pregnant. Right?
There's just not enough science and research.
Right.
Yes. So nobody's saying it's good. Nobody's saying it's bad. There's a lot of things saying maybe about all of it.
Right.
So this is an interesting perspective on long-term impact during pregnancy, of use during pregnancy. So the neurodivergent spectrum is broad. Those diagnosed in the category can have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, which is ASD, or a combination of the two. Within that, neurodivergent people have varying needs and sensitivities. One may require constant care, while another might hold a traditional corporate job. There are many kinds of neurodivergent people. It is not a bad thing to be autistic, have ADHD, or AUDHD, but many do wonder what may cause this different way of processing. A systematic review published in the American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology set out to uncover whether consuming cannabis during pregnancy results in neurodivergent children. Many pregnant people are choosing to vape or eat weed for ailments like morning sickness and body pain, and researchers wanted to glean how safe this practice really is. While the results are telling, more research is required for definitive answers for modern parents. Our findings warrant further investigation, primarily due to the continuous increase in cannabis potency observed over the last few decades, the graphical abstract slides state. The review focused on 18 studies, choosing only those that gathered long-term quantitative data on children birthed by pot-smoking parents. Researchers honed in specifically on ADHD, ASD, depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and psychotic disorder outcomes. Our findings suggest that prenatal cannabis exposure is not associated with a significantly increased risk for ASD, psychotic symptoms, anxiety, and depression in the offspring, but may result in a mildly increased risk for ADHD and raise the offspring's vulnerability to cannabis use. There was no relation between ASD, psychosis, anxiety, or depression. However, the risk of ADHD diagnosis and or cannabis use later in life was higher in those mothers who smoked weed while they were in utero. Study authors are correct to assert that more pregnant people are speaking about consuming cannabis, and they are not the only ones. A study published recently in JAMA Internal Medicine suggests that prenatal weed use heightens the risk of hypertension and preeclampsia, while an older research paper showed that consuming cannabis while pregnant may not impact kids' grades later in life. Data on cannabis and pregnancy continues rolling in. The authors of this recently published systematic review said, these results do not confirm the safety of cannabis consumption during pregnancy and should be interpreted with great caution. So,
Nice.
Still up in the air, but it's an interesting perspective.
We need more and more research.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I liked is it doesn't make kids stupid in high school.
I know, right?
Do you feel that cannabis gives you confidence when you smoke it? Like, say you're going to a social event and we smoked before we went inside. Does it feel like you're able to handle anything?
I don't think about it as being a confidence builder. It's more taking away any anxieties you have going into the situation. I don't know. No. So I don't know that it boosts my confidence.
But it takes away your anxiety
Yeah.
from going into a social
you feel
function.
less uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it would make you
Confident.
confident.
All right.
So, but everyone gets nervous and loses their confidence at some point. So can marijuana help build it up? Data suggests about 85% of the world suffers from self-confidence crisis or low self-esteem. 85% of the world suffers from self-confidence crisis or low self-esteem at some point. Wow. Loss of confidence can cause or increase feelings of sadness, depression, anxiety, anger, shame, or guilt. Extended periods or focusing too heavy on it can lead to depression and anxiety. But can marijuana help you build up your self-confidence? Causes of low self-esteem range from an unhappy childhood where parents or other significant people such as teachers were extremely critical, poor academic performance in school, a breakup, financial trouble, or some other reason. But there's always ways you can actively combat it, and marijuana could be one option in the toolbox. Studies have shown that low self-esteem respondents were more than likely than high self-esteem respondents to report becoming less inhibited, more sociable when high. Done in the right dosage, like microdosing, it can take the edge off of situations which can impact your self-esteem. In the right dose, THC is linked with feelings of euphoria, relaxation, and social ability. This helps relieve anxiety, giving some short-term ability to change life habits like attending an event, relax, chatting with new people, public speaking, and trying new things. This could be part of a bigger pattern helping you build a strong sense of self and confidence. Marijuana tends to release endorphins, which make you feel happy, relaxed, and high. This can help provide a tool to make a positive change in the attitude and lifestyle. The change can pave the way for a better future. It is also good to see it as a tool toward a fresh mindset and not a singular crutch. There is rarely, if ever, a silver bullet which will make everything better. I've never thought of cannabis as that way, or smoking weed when I was younger, like using it. I just used it socially, and it was like fun, and you had a good time, and I didn't have to drink as much, and you were having a great time, a lot of laughs. As I got older and used cannabis, I used cannabis more for relaxation and sleep and any body aches or pains. And I guess going out to, for me, because I'm an extrovert, but I am an introvert too. I'm in that middle, you have your moments where you walk into a building and you don't know anybody. I think everybody's a little bit of an introvert, and you're just like, I think I'm going to go hide in the corner for a minute there, George, and observe the situation. But if you walked in a little loose, like you took like a 5 milligram edible, or you smoked a one-e before you walked inside, you kind of walk in a little bit going, okay, where's the party at? Mm-hmm. Yeah, here I am, Spicoliing it in, So I do think it does give some people confidence. Some people it doesn't. If they smoke too much, you're going to be paranoid, because it's in your head.
There's a right
spot. Some people get in their own head and they think they're paranoid, but they become paranoid because they're just in their mind going, is everybody looking at me? Am I wearing the right clothes? My shoe untied or my zipper undone? And they get all freaked out and they run to the bathroom. Know this. An old military man taught me this many years ago in my early psychedelic use and not early weed smoke, but psychedelic use. He goes, always remember, it's what you put in your body that's making you think that way. Get out of your own head and let your fucking body do the feeling. For a moment, basically just said, just always remember it's what you took. Whether it be cannabis, whether it be LSD, whether it be ecstasy or psilocybin mushrooms, just always remember it's your mind's working in a different way. So, because you enhanced it. So just remember that. Just, think that way and you'll be fine. You'll clear your head up. And when I learned that, I was like, oh shit. And I catch myself going, hey, listen, you just took an enhancement booster. Fucking go have some fun. Can you
really stop yourself in that moment?
Oh, literally have.
You can have conscious thought like that?
Oh, I have. Because that's stuck in my head.
Right.
Hearing that military man taught me that.
It's just the drug.
Right. And now I hear his voice, and you know who I'm talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rest his soul. Mm-hmm. And, I always remember that in my head going, oh, you took an enhancement. Mm-hmm. Figure it out. Get out of your own fucking head. So remember that. Get out of your own fucking head. So cannabis drinks are like, oh, wait, no, we're not on cannabis drinks yet.
We're not.
We're on, no, sorry. We are on Ozempic.
Yep.
And this is crazy.
We're not on it.
No, we're not on it.
But the topic is.
I don't need Ozempic.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Right.
But there is so many people I know now on Ozempic or another something like Ozempic. I don't even know what fucking name are they called, but there's so many people on Ozempic now that I saw years ago that were heavy, and now they're like skinny. Yeah. And some people just come out and tell you, and I was like, holy shit, it works that much. But then there's a lot of side effects.
Yeah.
A lot of side effects.
It's pretty
nausea.
intense.
The person that I really know that uses it, nausea is like the one. We'll be in the middle of a conversation. He goes on his knees. The nausea is so bad. And he smokes a lot of weed. And still to this point, it doesn't help.
It doesn't calm it.
No. And, just be careful.
Yeah.
It's still not 100% proven. So can you consume marijuana on Ozempic? Tell us about it, Mrs.
This is a good one, right? The latest weight loss trend has been the use of Ozempic. A Gallup poll suggested over 6% of adults in the U.S. and Canada have tried it. That's over 16 million people who've given it a go. Amy Schumer, Kelly Clarkson, Sharon Osbourne, Chelsea Handler, Dolores Catania, Oprah, Charles Barkley, to name a few. Millions of people struggle with their weight and their body image. In the last 12 months, 56% of women and almost 42% of men have tried to slim down. And this new drug is seen as the silver bullet. But what if you want to relax and chill out while taking it? Can you consume cannabis on Ozempic? Some people enjoy eating, the taste of the food, the ritual of dining alone or with friends. Dieting and other weight loss programs are often seen as a punishment or feel negative. And if you want to chill out, alcohol usually interferes with a slimming routine due to its sugar content and how it's absorbed by the body. But cannabis is a different story. Ozempic works by mimicking a naturally occurring hormone. As those hormone levels rise, the molecules go to your brain, telling it you're full. It also slows digestion by increasing the time it takes for food to leave the body. This is similar to the effect of bariatric surgery. With limited research and data, it seems small amounts of alcohol, such as 1 to 2 drinks per day with food, are generally considered safe based on initial studies. However, alcohol is known to interfere with blood sugar control mechanisms, which Ozempic is aimed at improving. So there could be issues around the success of this routine. Cannabis, though, is different in its makeup and how the body absorbs it. Currently, there hasn't been research or data showing how cannabis interferes with the drug, or if it does. But keep in mind, Ozempic may interact with oral forms of cannabis, such as tablets, capsules, gummies, and other edibles. So be sure to talk to your pharmacist or your doctor before indulging. And I think I mentioned this recently, so I'm not going to babble on about it. But when it comes to medications, talk to the pharmacist, because doctors aren't all well-versed in cannabis.
Like we just read.
And a lot of them don't agree with cannabis, and they're so worried about how it might contradict your medications. Your pharmacist understands and your doctor does too, but in a different way. Your pharmacist understands the medication and can better direct you, and will probably have more information about interactions with other drugs. And so I would say talk to your pharmacist.
There you go. Nice.
That's my public service announcement for the day.
Most pain patients and doctors support legalizing medical marijuana and having insurance companies cover the cost, AMA study. A majority of patients with chronic pain and doctors who treat the condition support federally legalizing marijuana for medical use and having insurance companies cover the cost, according to a new federally funded study from the American Medical Association. Patients also widely support broader adult use cannabis legalization. The research letter published in JAMA Network Open last week found that 71% of chronic pain patients and 59% of physicians are in favor of naturally legalizing medical cannabis. When it comes to adult use legalization, there are more of a divide. While 55% of chronic pain patients patients back recreational legalization, 38% of doctors said the same. There are shared majority support for having insurance companies cover medical marijuana. However, with the 64% of chronic pain patients and 51% of physicians on board with a policy change. Just over half of patients said states with medical cannabis programs should subsidize access to medical cannabis for low-income people, while 31% of doctors agreed. Cannabis is unique in terms of complicated policy landscape. Elizabeth Stone, the lead author of the study at the Rutgers Institute for Healthcare Policy and Aging Research, said, depending on what state you're in, it could be that medical cannabis is legal. It could be that medical and recreational use are legal. It could be that neither is legal, but some things are decriminalized. Overall, people with chronic pain were more supportive of the policies that would expand access to medical cannabis, and providers were more supportive of the policies that would restrict access to medical cannabis, she said. Additionally, about 70% of respondent patients and physicians said they feel medical schools should require training on cannabis treatment for non-cancer pain. I think it points to the need for future guidance around cannabis use and efficiency, Stone said. It is something they should be recommending. If so, are there different considerations for types of products or modes of use or concentration? Currently, there are limitations on the research that can be done on cannabis, she said. Opening up those avenues would likely lead to understanding. The research paper says that people who use cannabis for chronic pain were most in favor of expanding access, while physicians who had not recommended cannabis to people with chronic pain reported the least support. The study involved interviews with 1,661 chronic pain patients and 1,000 doctors. It was partially funded by the National Institute of Drug Abuse, NIDA. Meanwhile, the National Cancer Institute also recently published a wide-ranging series of scientific reports on marijuana and cancer as part of the efforts to better understand core questions around patients' relationships with cannabis, including sourcing, cost, behavioral patterns, patient-provider communications, and reasons for use. One of the studies looked specifically at patients who use medical marijuana as an alternative to opioids to treat their cancer-related pain. And we just read a bunch of that just a few minutes ago. Another study published last month found that patients who used medical marijuana for 3 months improved on a variety of health-related quality of life, HRQOL, measures including physical functioning, bodily pain, social functioning, fatigue, and general health, which we just talked about, right? Mm-hmm. Yet another study last year published by the American Medical Association found that the use of medical marijuana was associated with significant improvements in the quality of life for people with chronic conditions like pain and insomnia. And those effects were largely sustained over time. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because there's angels in those leaves. When are we all going to learn that? Hey, if Jesus used it, he knew there was angels in it, right?
Right.
We should be using it because this plant was put on earth for us.
That's right.
So, cannabis drinks. Yeah. Now it's your turn.
Now you want to hear about them?
Let me tell you something.
You tell me.
On the dispensary side of things, you see cannabis drinks, but they're not being bought. But you go to now a brewery, a liquor store, a grocery store, a bar. I mean, Peace Produce here now. I mean, you will see now either maybe a little end cap or a full-blown like shelf of like maybe 15 different cannabis drinks. You can buy cannabis drinks online. They ship right to your house. You can go to now a lot of different events, and people are selling cannabis drinks. And they range from
they're hemp-derived.
Yes, they're hemp-derived. But at the legal dispensary, they're not.
Right.
The legal dispensary, they're cannabis sativa-derived. Right. So, but it is a fast-growing industry. There's many different varieties now, and some taste great, some taste good, some taste okay, and some taste terrible. And I like a good cannabis drink. We love them when we go to the beach, and also like drinking them on a hot summer day. I don't drink them. I don't use them all the time, but I do enjoy a good cannabis drink, and there's a lot of good ones out there. So tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
So, colorful cans of THC beverages are now a common sight on the shelves next to all of the other ready-to-drinks at your local beverage superstore or bodega, along with their presence at trade shows like the National Restaurant Show and recognition and publications of Food and Wine magazine, weed sodas are now served in beer tents at street festivals and on-premise at bars and restaurants. You'll most often find them listed on the non-alcoholic menu. But you may be wondering, are they legal? How do they taste? And will they get you high? After launching a high-dose version through a dispensary channel in 2021, Angus Rittenberg, CEO of Warehouse Beverages, the parent company of Wink, a popular premium brand of THC CBD soda, has helped usher low-dose seltzers into the conventional beverage space. At the 2024 West Fest Street Fair in Chicago, he shared, "The tent had all these mainstream beer brands right beside Wink, at the same price on the same banner. It's become so mainstream, it's amazing to watch." Through targeting customers who are not typically cannabis users, the segment has become much more approachable. We talk a lot about the adjacency to alcohol and building our brand into a lifestyle brand. Even OG stoners like Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong are getting into the game with their Cheech and Chong high and dry seltzers. During a recent hilarious phone interview with the Dank Duo, I asked them if they've ever thought they would see when cannabis-infused sodas would be sold next to Miller High Life and Diet Coke.
I love me some High Life, though.
"This is soccer mom stuff," said Chong, "and yes, I believe we are 100% responsible." So, are they legal? Short story, yes. Thanks to the passage of the 2018 U.S. Farm Bill, industrial hemp became classified as an agricultural product. Marijuana and hemp both come from the cannabis plant and naturally contain delta-9 THC. Anything under 0.3% THC is classified as hemp, and anything over 0.3% THC is considered marijuana. Since 2018, thousands of federally legal hemp-derived CBD and THC products have come to market, including loads of beverages. That means hemp-derived THC products and cannabis-infused recreational beverages are legal in 24 states. It can be a bit confusing, but basically, even in states where non-hemp-based cannabis is illegal, the purchase of these beverages has been decriminalized. So what are their benefits and advantages? They're social beverages. They're sleep-inducing nightcaps. They are a non-alcoholic option with a buzz, and they have no hangover effect. THC drinks are favored by folks who are looking for their relaxation, a high sensation of THC without having to inhale smoke. They wait hours for a sugary gummy to take effect, and they don't want to do that, and they want to be conspicuous in a social setting. It's fun to sip a can of THC seltzer, side by side with your friend who prefers drinking a canned seltzer with alcohol. People enjoy drinking these as a relaxing transition to bedtime, especially if they contain CBD, a non-psychoactive ingredient. Many folks who don't drink or are trying to wean off of alcohol find these beverages an excellent, refreshing alternative to alcohol. So how intoxicating are they? Most manufacturers say the consumer will feel the effects within 10 to 30 minutes, and they will wear off in about 45 to 90 minutes after that. Just like consuming any intoxicant, however, it'll vary widely from person to person. Most manufacturers and many users brag about zero hangovers and the easy transition to activities that require focus and productivity the next day. So how do they taste? All of the top-of-the-line THC drinks I tried were refreshing, dry, and fizzy. Some had a mild weed aftertaste, but nothing that would prevent me from drinking them again. Unlike many edible THC items, which take a long time to digest and take effect, beverages offer a quicker onset, and they allow a gradual increase in psychoactive experience and then a gradual decrease. This allows the user to more easily regulate their consumption. Read the label, and you'll find that most THC beverages are precisely dosed at 2 to 5 milligrams per serving, a rather mild amount, which much like the effect of a single glass of wine or beer. So this author went on to recommend 5 brands, saying that we tried several brands and varieties of canned, ready-to-drink THC beverages, and our 5 favorites were Wink Seltzers, Cycling Frog, Can, Fable, and a Chicago favorite, Mars Brewing.
We love our friends over at Mars Brewing.
And an important thing, the author of the article, her name is Lisa Futterman, and she is a cheesemonger and freelance beverage journalist based in Chicago. Her love of cheese, wine, and spirits has taken her all over the world, from the Comte aging rooms in Fort Saint Antoine in the Jura, wow, to the wild agave fields in the deserts outside of Oaxaca. So she's well versed and well traveled. So I think she knows when something tastes
What she's
good.
talking about, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Check them out.
Yeah. We do like a good cannabis drink.
Yeah, I think they're fun.
They're fun. I especially, like I said, I love bringing them to the beach. You know, just instead of drinking a beer, you drink one of those. And it is not a crazy kick. Now, I've seen some drink makers putting like 25 milligrams of hemp derived, and
there's quite a few 10 milligram one. Well, dispensary wise, probably.
the 5 and 10 are great. And what's great is you get a 5 or 2.5 and you're hanging out and you bring a 6-pack with you.
Then you can enjoy them.
You're not even drinking 20 milligrams,
Right?
You know, and you're not going to get fucked up,
Right?
You know,
you're drinking it like over a whole evening out.
So I mean, if you love cannabis, but you're going to a party that you can't bring flower and smoke, bring a 6-pack and put it in your own little cooler and get a little fucking koozie and have fun. Political and state news. Can small cannabis companies in Illinois break into the medical marijuana market? Medical marijuana patients in Illinois can now purchase cannabis grown by small businesses as part of the allotment, according to Aaron Johnson, the state's cannabis regulation oversight officer. Illinois boasts the most diverse cannabis business ownership in the country, at least according to claim made when the state celebrated the opening of its 100th social equity dispensary. Despite this progress, however, there is still an unequal access to the market. Analysts noted in the recent Capital News article, while Johnson confirmed the dispensaries can now sell craft-grown products from social equity licenses to medical patients, new small-scale growers continue to face challenges in gaining broader access to medical customers. These smaller businesses are part of the Illinois efforts to diversify the cannabis industry since the state legalized recreational use in 2020. Unequal access to an Illinois medical cannabis market, Illinois medical marijuana program in place since 2014, has not expanded its dispensary network since 2018. It's bullshit. Bullshit. I just want to open up a little medical dispensary. I'd be happy to that. You know, I want a medical, well, I'm not ever going to get one, but I would love to get one. But you can get one, Mrs. Weedman. This has left smaller businesses at a disadvantage. Most of the state sales happen through dual-purpose dispensaries, but they represent only 20% of all dispensaries. On the other hand, the adult use market has been expanding, with the total market hitting a record of $1 billion by July of this year. Steve Olson, who manages to supply a pair of dispensaries, says MMJ patients deserve access to all dispensaries. Yes, we do. You couldn't think that this would be something they're trying to help out these social equity companies with, but they are putting handcuffs on them in so many different spots, one of them being this medical thing. While social equity businesses can now serve medical patients, their reach remains limited. Larger companies, mostly multi-state operators, dominate the market. Illinois' potential legislative solutions. In medical marijuana markets, the ratio of dispensaries to patient is a crucial parameter, often used to gauge accessibility and equity. While there are too few dispensaries, MMJ patients face longer wait times. And this is the thing. This wasn't supposed to be like this. Now, let me finish. Hold on. Reduced product availability and higher prices. This imbalance can be especially challenging in states like Illinois, where limited licenses restrict the number of medical-only dispensaries, further narrowing access. So, in 2020, when Illinois went recreational, there were supposed to be separate doors and separate lines for medical patients.
In the same dispensary.
Or you were supposed to build a different build out. And you were supposed to have, there's only one dispensary that I've been to here in Illinois that I've seen that. And where there's two separate doorways and two separate entrances, and basically they're the same building, but they're basically separate. And that is what it's supposed to be like. And it not. I mean, as soon as they got the go-ahead, they just pushed medical out of the way. And medical now has been in decline in sales for the last 4 years. And as I read medical for September only did $21 million, down the lowest it's been since July. And if we had more medical dispensaries, or if all the dispensaries can can
Yeah.
can service medical patients. You would probably see people that are down south that don't have access to a medical cannabis facility would go to a dispensary that's recreational but now sells, because it's 3% tax.
It's cheaper. It's more affordable. And
Right.
if you're using
And you were
cannabis
supposed to
as
have
medicine,
you were supposed to have two separate menus.
right.
One for medical patients and one for
Every dispensary was
every medical that had the dual.
that had
the
medical
dual-
recreational.
Right.
But every recreational license didn't require them to have a medical to serve medical patients
No.
any special way.
No, but they were trying to. I know there was something.
Why can't they be both?
So to address these challenges, advocates are pushing for HB 2911, which will allow all dispensaries to serve MMJ patients. Johnson expressed hope that this bill could pass during the fall session, but the House seems to be dragging its feet. But they love those tax dollars, boy, because if you didn't pay your tax dollars to the state, they would shut you down quick. They have cameras in every single one of these dispensaries watching what? Their money. Mm-hmm. They ain't watching anything else. They want that $600 million to line pockets.
Well, they've got it spent already.
Right. So lawmakers entered the regular spring legislative session without deciding on key cannabis and hemp bills. It's something we desperately want, Johnson said. We want to ensure that medical patients easily access what they need. They don't care because it's only 2% tax or 3% tax, whatever it is. I think it's 3%. And they don't care because they're not making no money off of it. So that's why they don't give a shit about the medical program. You know, we're lucky we got home grow in this state. Unlike Florida, which is doing Amendment 3, which didn't put home grow in there. Ohio, they wanted to take home grow out, and people fought for it, so they got to keep it. But you people down in Florida, down there, that aren't getting home grow to Amendment 3 added to that, you lost. You lost big time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. It's going to be recreational, but the only people, it's so monopolized down in Florida right now. It's all the fucking big corporate MSOs. It's all the big fucking multi-state operators. And
They can't wait to open.
Oh my gosh, your medical program's going to go. So, and you didn't fight for home grow. It was a mistake. And hopefully you can maybe get it added on later on. But I'm telling you right now, if this goes recreational, DeSantis is going to lock shit down. You know, and you are now going to take a year, probably to 2 years before all the laws finally get written, and then you just open up the first dispensary because he's going to hold shit back. Watch. I've seen it. I've seen it in other states. So
he has money in the medical.
Oh my God, there's been so much money given to him and given on both sides of the field for this that could have been used for something totally different, like helping people. You know, instead of lining pockets. I can go on, and I could digress more, but I won't. Fact checked. Would Amendment 3 create a monopoly for marijuana companies in Florida? Florida Amendment 3 proposes legalized recreational marijuana for adults 21 and older. Critics argue it would favor large cannabis corporations, especially Trulieve, which has donated, $93 million to support the measure. Because they're going to make $1 billion, so they don't care. $93 million is chump change to them right now. You know, the opposition claims Amendment 3 entrenches monopolies by limiting home growing and favoring existing medical marijuana companies. Supporters, however, argue that the amendment does not ban competition as the legislator can issue more licenses. Both sides use familiar strategies, with opponents emphasizing corporate influence and concerns over monopolistic control of the recreational market. Oh, yeah. You guys are done.
Wow.
You guys are going to be smoking so much remediated weed, it ain't going to be funny. New rule for federal loan program adds restrictions for companies that work with marijuana businesses. A new rule from the USDA's Rural Utility Services restricts companies participating in the 1RD loan program from receiving income tied to marijuana businesses. This includes leasing to dispensaries, as marijuana remains illegal under the federal law. The rule emphasizes the ongoing conflict between state and federal cannabis laws. Public comments on the rule will be accepted through October 30th, 2024. Meanwhile, the USDA continues to support the hemp industry with grants and appointments reflecting its growth since legalization under the 2018 Farm Bill. Why pot packaging problems are keeping Missouri operators down. Missouri's cannabis operators face ongoing challenges due to complex packaging regulators. Rules require the word marijuana to dominate the label, making compliance costly and difficult. Additionally, stringent design restrictions and mandatory packaging approval numbers create logistical issues. Despite industry efforts to comply, inconsistencies in enforcement and outdated packaging still persist. In dispensaries, these regulations aimed at protecting public safety are seen as overly burdensome, especially without industry consultation. The GOP Pennsylvania senators voiced support for marijuana decriminalizations. Activists who spoke with her says Pennsylvania Senate President Kim Ward, a longtime opponent of marijuana reform, has recently expressed support for decriminalizing cannabis. Speaking with advocates, she stated that stopping marijuana arrests could benefit her son and shared a personal story about marijuana's role in her marriage. Advocates view as the shift in her stance, raising hopes for progress on cannabis reform in Pennsylvania. This aligns with broader bipartisan momentum for marijuana legalization in the state, as supported by recent polling and legislative efforts. Arkansas Medical Cannabis Campaign sues state over rejected ballot initiative. Medical cannabis advocates in Arkansas filed a lawsuit against Secretary of State John Thurston for refusing to certify a ballot initiative expanding the state's medical marijuana program. Thurston said the initiative lacked 2,600 valid signatures, citing paperwork issues with paid signature gatherers. The campaign had submitted 114,000 signatures but fell short of the required 90,704. The lawsuit seeks to have the initiative certified and included in the November ballot, asking the Arkansas Supreme Court for expedited action. They're not even asking for recreational. They're asking for like more, just a bigger and better program for medical. It's just crazy, and they're getting shit for it. Michigan marijuana sales boom, fueled by low flower prices. Everybody goes to Michigan for their weed. It is fucking just weed crazy in Michigan. I mean, in low prices, you can get ounces for $50 there. I mean, I think I saw a guy selling ounces for like 25 one time. He was posting it on Instagram. He was like, $25 ounces. I'm like,
in a dispensary?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So Michigan cannabis sales have surged, driven by dramatic drop in flower prices due to oversupply of cultivation licenses. Since 2019, the price per ounce has plummeted 84% from $516 to $80 in 2024. That is a fucking drop. Wow. That's a drop. That's huge. And you got Croptober coming up here right now, too. So you're going to have a big supply coming right now, too. While monthly sales soared, the increase in cultivation licenses, up 964%, has led to market saturation, forcing prices down and pushing some operators out. While lower prices boost retail sales, the strain growers and businesses accustomed to higher margins. Brands are adapting, relying on increased sales volume to offset price compression. That's the only way you're going to make money now. You got to fucking turn and burn. Like I used to say when I waited tables and bartended, if you want to make money and you're only making every $5 you're putting in now, this is drinks like, now are a little bit more money now. So, but especially if you're in downtown Chicago where you're paying like $22 for like a fucking regular drink, you're just like, what? I used to make this drink for $5. Inflation ain't that fucking bad, you know? But for every $5 you put in the register, you want to make $1. That's 20%. That's how I rolled. And it's all about turn and burn. I was a volume bartender. I wasn't a fucking mixologist. I was a straight up fucking just bartender. I was a ringer. I rang. My thing was they put me at point because I rang. And I rang, and just think about...
You took care of people.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I did what I did.
You made your mixed drinks. You weren't just slinging beers.
No, I made drinks, but I was fast. Right. I wasn't there to fucking flare and play around. Fuck no, I didn't have time for that shit. Every $5 I put in the register, I wanted to make $1. Right. And my goal every night when I worked was to make fucking $250 to $350 during the week and to make $400 to $500 on the weekends. That was my goal. Did I hit it all the time? No, but I came there almost all the time because it was just turn and burn fly. You know, and that's the same thing what you're seeing here with volume. What you're seeing, you're starting to see this in Illinois now too. Price compression is a real thing, and everyone's worried about volume. Volume. Before, you didn't have to worry about volume because prices were at a good level to where everybody was making money. Yeah, it sucked for the consumer, but now you have to make money in a lot of these states. If you're not fucking selling volume, you're dead. You're dead. It doesn't matter what if you're trying to sell a $60 eighth, but 50% of the market's selling $30 eighths. You're only going to capture about 10% of the market because only 10% or 15% of the market really understands quality, smell, terpenes, all that stuff. Fucking 85% of the people, they don't give a fuck about that. They want to get high. And they look for they're being trained to only look for high THC percentages. Man, that 47% is going to get you ripped, Bob. Oh, I want that then. You know, and that's how you're training the market. Instead of training the market on quality, smell, the way when people come to our table, what do? We make you look at the bud, smell the bud, look at it. What your nose is going to like first is going to determine whether you're going to like smoking that strain. Dry hit the strain first. You know, dry hit it before you light it up so you get a real flavor of it all. too. So we try to give you interaction to understand what weed is all about versus just buying high THC percentages that's dried fucking remediated garbage. And you're getting a lot of that in a state like Michigan that's just turning and burning flower right now and bulking it up to sell it cheap. What do they say? Stack them high and watch them fly. They used to say it in the beer industry. Well, dry it cheap and sell it cheap, I guess you want to call it, So, but good for Michigan. They're killing it, and hopefully people are going to survive and make some money during this time. It's going to be a rocky road, and maybe not for the consumer, but for companies trying to survive, it's going to be tough, especially if you got a lot of money invested into. So Michigan, stay strong. Hemp industry advocates ask court to halt California's ban on products with any detectable amount of THC amid legal challenges. The feds are hiring a contractor to roll hundreds of thousands of marijuana cigarettes for research. You want a job, Mrs. Weedman? Right. So the feds are hiring the National Institute of Drug Abuse, NIDA, seeking contractors to roll hundreds of thousands of marijuana cigarettes for federally approved research. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of research. The goal is to support increased research into cannabis and other controlled substances, reflecting rising demand. Contractors will roll standardized joints with THC and CBD content lower than most commercial products. This initiative aims to enhance quality control, stability testing, and support for ongoing studies, contributing to broader drug abuse research efforts. What's the pay? Yeah, they didn't say. I wish I knew. What do you need to know about Georgia's Hemp Farming Act? Georgia's Hemp Farming Act, implemented on October 1st, 2024, introduces stricter regulations for hemp industry, including age restrictions for prohibited individuals under 21 from purchasing hemp products. The act also requires licensing for retailers, wholesalers, and manufacturers. These measures aim to enhance public safety, particularly for minors, in response to growing concerns over consumable hemp products. The legalization follows the national hemp legalization under the 2018 Farm Bill, addressing the need for oversight in the expanding industry. It's time to legalize recreational marijuana in North Dakota. The article that I'm reading for legalization of recreational marijuana in North Dakota are encouraging a vote for Measure 5. The author, who personally does not smoke, believes legalizing marijuana possesses less danger than alcohol, which causes significant health issues and deaths. The measure includes strict regulations such as prohibiting public and use and limiting possession. Legalization would also alleviate law enforcement burdens, help those in chronic pain, create jobs, and generate tax revenue. The author urges voters to ignore scare tactics and support legalization, asserting the regulation is better than prohibition. Trump and Harris need to stop pandering on marijuana and offer concrete plans for an equitable industry. They're jumping on the bandwagon because they're going to try to get voters to each of them. So the op-ed criticizes President candidates Trump and Harris for superficially supporting cannabis. Remember that, superficially. Supporting cannabis legalization without addressing equity in the industry. It highlights the most Americans oppose corporate monopolies in cannabis, emphasizing the need for concrete plans to free incarcerated individuals for cannabis offenses and ensure social equity in legalization efforts. With public sentiment favoring reforms that benefit consumers and workers, the authors argue that genuine cannabis reform requires a commitment to equitable policies rather than corporate interest. Slow going on cannabis licensing in Minnesota. Minnesota is facing delays in the rollout of cannabis licenses, with the lottery for social equity licenses now expected later than initially planned. This slow pace is attributed to complex rules meant to prevent exploration and ensure fairness in licensing. Despite over 1,800 applications, only a few businesses will receive licenses this year. The state aims to balance the need for a regulated market with supporting social equity initiatives and while preparing for retail sales slated to begin in 2025. Thank goodness, Minnesota, that you can grow 5 pounds of weed. You can grow and have 5 pounds of weed. Just give it away. Just, man, if you sell it, great, that's on you. But what are you going to do with 5 pounds of weed? Give it to the people that can't go to a fucking dispensary right now and have some fucking weed parties. Have some fun, Minnesota. Man, if you're growing 5 pounds, that's a lot. That's a lot of weed. Florida senator sues state over anti-marijuana ad, allegedly unconstitutional use of taxpayer dollars ahead of legalization vote. Florida Senator John Pizzo is suing the state for using taxpayer money to run anti-marijuana ad, and he claims unconstitutionally influences voters against the legalization initiative on the upcoming ballot. I'd be pissed if I was a taxpayer and you're using my taxpayer dollars to run ads when meanwhile you got people's homes getting destroyed. Truly spending almost $100 million where you could be helping people right now. Right, you got the second hurricane coming. Yeah. Right now.
Still recovering from last year.
No, recovering from last week.
I know, but then last year too.
Jeez. Right? And that,
Yeah.
I mean, you got
They're just
back
gonna
to
get
back,
nailed
and
again.
there's a few more coming your way. Florida, man, all this money, they're True Leaf should have donated $93 million for cleanup, for helping build people's homes, but instead they're going to line their own fucking pockets up and put that $1 billion they're going to make in their pocket and not help anybody, which is bullshit. So, meanwhile, True Leaf, a key supporter of the legalization effort, has filed a defamation suit against the state's Republican Party over misleading claims about the initiative. But meanwhile, you're about to get wrecked again with a Category 5 coming your way again. So be safe down there, Florida. We're praying for you. And man, I hope this could be avoided. And just if you're getting out of, if you're leaving the state right now to go to safety, please take your animals with you. Take your loved ones, take whatever you got. If you see somebody stranded, help them out right now, people. You can all use a little help right now. People, cars get stuck, stop traffic, help people out right now. It's not just only about yourself. There's millions of people trying to get out of harm's way right now. So be safe. And then also the people in the north, the rest of the southeast, Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, all those states down there still needing help, still not getting any help that they need right now. There's donations, I know, being able to go on websites. Find the right website, though. Make sure you're donating to a legit website. There's people traveling down there trying to bring supplies.
Right.
So, I mean, just normal, regular, everyday people just driving their cars down there to try to help out what they can. So everyone, man, this is a time where, and I know right now people are struggling, you know, there's the economy's not great and all this stuff, but if there's 300 million people that have $1, that's $300 million that can go to help everybody that's going to be down there. Because I tell you what, we are Americans first, and we as a whole here in this whole nation of ours, we can't expect help from our government. They can't even help themselves. And I'm not talking about state government. I'm talking about federally. Okay? We as Americans need to take care of one another, and we are the only ones that can do it. So donate where you can. Like I said, I know times are tough. Struggle is real. But if 300 million people gave $1, that's $300 million once a month. It's $1. We can fix shit and help people out. And I know you're thinking it's just $1. $300 million is a lot of money.
Way. Yeah.
Right. So if we can just get there and help everybody down there, God bless you all, or whoever, whatever you believe in. Just blessings and favor down there to you all. Stay safe, everybody. Hopefully you can get your homes back, your loved ones back, and we pray for you all down there. So, yeah. How regulation and quality assurance can ease fears about cannabis legalization ahead of critical election, Mrs. Weedman.
Yeah.
This was a good article. Tell us about it.
As we approach a pivotal election, the cannabis industry finds itself at a crossroads. If federal legalization passes, cannabis could be reclassified from a Schedule I to a Schedule III drug. This shift would remove many barriers for businesses and consumers, opening the door to broader acceptance and regulation. However, this potential change also stirs up concerns among those opposed to cannabis, who fear its legalization could lead to unchecked risks for public health and safety. A well-regulated industry that adheres to good or current good manufacturing processes, also called cGMPs, can play a key role in easing these fears. By preparing for federal legalization through cGMP compliance and certification, cannabis companies can build trust with skeptics and demonstrate a commitment to safety, transparency, and quality. This preparation could help smooth the path toward legalization and reduce opposition from those who are still wary. But before diving into the role of regulation, it's important to understand the concerns of those opposed to cannabis legalization. Many fear unsafe products. When it comes to consumer safety, even in legal states, many cannabis products remain widely unregulated. All legal states have some health and safety oversights like testing by the Department of Revenue, but testing is only a small part of true consumer safety. Health departments need to be involved, but in most states, local and state health departments don't regulate cannabis at all. Opponents fear that without strict oversight, cannabis products could contain harmful contaminants, poor food safety practices, or even dangerous additives. There is inconsistent testing. Legalization looms on the horizon. The industry is grappling with significant concerns about inconsistent testing practices. Issues like lab shopping, cherry-picking samples, and a lack of standardized testing protocols have led to fears of potency inflation and unsafe products. For those opposed to cannabis legalization, these inconsistencies raise red flags about the reliability of the industry and the safety of its products. There's a public health impact. There is worry about increased addiction rates, impaired driving, and other public safety issues that may arise from wider cannabis availability. There is still a lot of fear for people who bought into the war on drugs narrative, and outdated stereotypes still exist. By addressing these concerns head-on, the cannabis industry can create an environment where legalization is seen as an opportunity for safe, controlled access rather than a potential public health threat. The cGMPs are regulations enforced by the Food and Drug Administration to ensure that products meet quality standards. They cover everything from manufacturing practices to product testing and labeling, ensuring consistency, safety, and transparency. By aligning with cGMP standards, now the cannabis industry can proactively address many of the concerns held by those who oppose legalization. This usually means a company receiving a third-party certification for cGMP. This is the easiest way to prove a company is in compliance with the standards. So what can cGMP compliance help with? 1. With creating safer products. One of the main concerns from cannabis opponents is the fear that products could be unsafe or contaminated. cGMP compliance mandates rigorous testing for contaminants such as pesticides, heavy metals, mold, and other harmful substances. These standards address issues in all ingredients in the product, not just the cannabinoid ingredients, and are much more thorough than most state testing requirements. By ensuring that products are free from these risks, cannabis companies can demonstrate that legal, regulated products are far safer than those available on the illicit market. 2. It helps with ensuring consistent quality. When it comes to medical cannabis, consistency is key. Patients need to trust that each dose will provide the same effects, whether it's an edible, oil, or flower. cGMP regulations require companies to produce products with consistent cannabinoid profiles, meaning consumers can expect the same potency and quality each time they purchase. This level of consistency mirrors the expectations for pharmaceuticals, helping to build trust among skeptics. 3. It will provide increasing transparency. With cGMP compliance, cannabis companies must keep detailed records of every step in the manufacturing process. This transparency is critical in building consumer confidence, as it allows regulators, healthcare professionals, and consumers to understand exactly how products are made, tested, and packaged. For those concerned about the unknowns of cannabis, transparency is a powerful tool in easing fears. Rather than a shadowy industry with hidden practices, a cGMP-compliant cannabis industry becomes one where accountability and openness are prioritized. 4. There's aligning with federal standards. If cannabis is reclassified as a Schedule III drug, it will likely fall under FDA oversight. The FDA will require cannabis companies to follow cGMP regulations, just as pharmaceutical companies do. By becoming cGMP compliant ahead of time, cannabis businesses will be better positioned to smoothly transition into the regulatory framework. Each compliance also signals to the public that the industry is prepared for legalization and willing to operate at a higher standard. This can alleviate concerns that cannabis legalization will lead to chaos or poorly regulated products. With cannabis potentially becoming federally legal, the industry has a unique opportunity to address the concerns of voters who are on the fence or opposed to legalization. Preparing for cGMP certification now not only demonstrates a proactive approach, but also shows a commitment to creating a safer, more trustworthy industry. This will also lead to fewer recalls and other untimely incidents in the media. further spreading fear about cannabis products. Many states have already seen the writing on the wall and are requiring cGMP certification in manufacturing facilities. This is a trend we will see more and more as time goes on, just the same as the whole food industry. And this can be an impact, and this can impact public opinion by building trust with health-conscious voters, by reducing the stigma of cannabis, by demonstrating responsibility and readiness, and overall, cGMP compliance is key to a responsible future for cannabis. If the industry can demonstrate that it is ready for legalization and willing to operate at the highest levels of safety and quality, it may win over more voters in the upcoming election and help ensure a smoother transition to a fully legalized market.
There we go.
Yeah.
Want to light that joint up?
Yeah.
While I'm talking about international news?
I will.
Poland's Hemp and Health acquires shares in Portuguese medical marijuana crossbreeding and genetics company. Polish medical cannabis company Hemp and Health has acquired a 5% stake in Portuguese company Hibisco Discreto, which owns the Voyager Genetics brand. Approximately $22,065. This partnership aims to develop new cannabis strains and enhance the genetic research and cultivation process. Hemp and Health also has the option to buy an additional 5% stake within 6 months. The collaboration affects a growing demand for medical cannabis in Poland, where prescription surged from 2,909 in 2019 to 276,807 in 2023. That's a big growth. Lottery and ganja to get referendum at last. A referendum in the Cayman Islands will include questions on establishing a national lottery, decriminalizing small amounts of marijuana, and constructing a cruise pier for megaships. Tourism Minister Kenneth Bryan emphasized that the lottery could boost revenues and combat illegal gambling, although it may lead to increased problems gambling and faces religious oppositions. Decriminalization would mean minor offenses for personal use amounts to marijuana, sparing individuals from serious criminal charges. Bryan clarified that it differs from legalization, which would allow commercial sales. The government aims to respect the people's decision, promising to enact legalization if decriminalization is supported. Ooh, so good. I got one.
You got one?
How cannabis legalization in Germany boosted the company's revenue. Will Spain's medical marijuana framework do the same? Spain has released a draft royal decree for public consultation that outlines regulations for prescribing cannabis-based medications. Following years of discussions on legalizing medical cannabis, the new framework, influenced by a 2022 Health Committee report, allows specialist doctors to prescribe cannabis master formulas in specific conditions, including multiple sclerosis and severe epilepsy, although cannabis flower is excluded. What? This initiative has stalled after a government change in 2023, but has since gained priority. Meanwhile, IM Cannabis Corp, operating in Germany, reported a 50% revenue increase attributed to partial cannabis legalization, emphasizing the growing demand for medical cannabis in Europe. The boring business of New Zealand's biggest cannabis clinic. The Cannabis Clinic in Auckland, New Zealand, thanks Auckland for always listening, run by Dr. Wasim Alzir, has become the country's largest subscriber of medical cannabis, located conveniently near Exit 240 and State Highway 1. The clinic resembles a corporate office rather than a typical cannabis establishment, lacking any actual cannabis on site that is handled by a nearby pharmacy. Since the legalization of medicinal cannabis in 2020, the clinic has prescribed about 12,000 products monthly. Although many patients still rely on the black market or legal sources for cannabis, Alzir aims to reduce stigma around cannabis use, emphasizing that it benefits for conditions like pain and epilepsy. Despite ongoing debates about its efficacy, the clinic's consultants cost $99, with patients spending over $300 monthly on products. Yeesh. The ethical landscape of cannabis prescription is complex, as patients often seek cannabis for pain relief without clear scientific backing. Alzir's new pharmacy addresses the challenge of obtaining cannabis, streamlining the process for patients. I just don't understand why New Zealand, Australia, all that Pacific area is not even like fully blown like medical. Like, you know, here in Illinois, we had a full blown medical program, dispensaries, and then you get your license, you get your card, and you're good for 3 years. You know, I don't know why they haven't like even gone recreational. I mean, it's just crazy. UK can net, now here, listen to this one. UK can net up to $12.6 billion dollars annually from cannabis legalization.
Jeez.
12.6. A report by Clear estimates that legalizing cannabis in the UK can generate between 4.38 billion and 12.6 billion in annual tax revenue.
Wow.
The report proposes a regulatory framework similar to Canada's, including a cannabis inspectorate for overseeing cultivation and distribution. It aims to stabilize the illicit cannabis market, currently valued between $2 billion to $8 billion. The proposal allows adults to grow up to 6 cannabis plants, yay, and emphasizes the economic and public health benefits of legalization, including reduced crime and lower rates of teen use. However, it warns against overtaxation, referencing issues in California. Clear advocates for a discussion on cannabis reform among UK politicians, citing potential job creation and crime reduction. Aurora given grant to research fruity aromas in cannabis. You wonder why, right? Like the one we were just sniffing, Sub-Zero, had that real heavy fruity flavor to it. The data generated from this work will support the discovery and launch of unique cultivars. Aurora Cannabis has announced the research grant for the University of British Columbia from Genome British Columbia, focusing on genomics-enabled aroma breeding in cannabis, led by Aurora's Dr. Jose Celadon and UBC's Jorg Bowman. The project aims to validate genetic markets for fruity aroma in cannabis, enhancing breeding accuracy and efficiency. This collaboration will enable research with financial constraints and aims to produce cultivars with improved aromas, yield, and potency. Aurora's contributions include sensory analysis and bioinformatics, while UBC handled gene sequencing and analysis. This initiative underscores Aurora's commitment to initiative in the cannabis industry. You are really big into fucking fruity strains lately. Mm-hmm. What's your vibe towards them? Like, why do you gear to them now?
I don't know.
Because you liked gassy for a minute, then you went to cheesy, and now you're like all about your fruity.
I don't know. That's just what my palate, with my lame palate that I have.
That used to be so good.
I know. I wonder what it is. Yeah.
Used to have such a great palate. I was jealous.
I know. I am jealous.
14 licenses for cannabis social clubs granted in German federal states. In Germany, the number of applicants for cannabis cultivation social clubs rose by 34% in September, totaling 303 applications, up from 226 in August. However, this growth rate has slowed compared to the previous month, which saw a 237% increase. While 14 licenses have been granted across 4 federal states, applicants face challenges due to inconsistent regulations and difficulty securing properties for their clubs. Man. You love your coffee.
Yes, I do.
You love your cannabis.
I do.
And you like on a Sunday morning smoking a joint and having your coffee outside on the patio.
Yep.
Tell us about the perfect pair, how coffee and cannabis create the perfect Mrs. Weedman's morning ritual.
Yeah. October 1st was celebrated worldwide as International Coffee Day, a day dedicated to appreciating the beloved beverage that kickstarts many of our mornings. But for some, coffee isn't the only companion that helps start the day right. Cannabis has also found its way into the morning rituals of enthusiasts. The combination of coffee and cannabis, often referred to as a hippie speedball, has grown in popularity among those who appreciate the unique effects each bring to the table. So let's explore the origins of the hippie speedball and how coffee and cannabis can create a harmonious blend of experiences. The term hippie speedball is rooted in counterculture movements of the 1960s and 70s, particularly among those who embraced a lifestyle centered around peace, love, and exploration of consciousness. While the exact origin of the term is unclear, it generally refers to the combination of cannabis and caffeine, typically through smoking weed and drinking coffee. The name hippie speedball is a playful nod to the traditional speedball, a combination of cocaine and heroin. However, unlike its more dangerous counterpart, the hippie speedball pairs 2 widely enjoyed substances with far fewer risks. This combination has become popular among creatives, musicians, and artists seeking an enhanced state of mind to fuel their creative processes and social interactions. How combining stimulants and relaxants can boost focus and creativity? Well, the stimulating effects of caffeine, it's coffee rich in caffeine, is a stimulant that works by blocking adenosine receptors in the brain. This blockage prevents the onset of drowsiness, leading to increased alertness, energy, and focus. For many, a cup of coffee is an essential part of their daily routine, helping them start the day with a boost of energy. 2, the relaxing and euphoric effects of cannabis. Cannabis, particularly strains high in THC, is known for its relaxing, euphoric, and sometimes sedative effects. Depending on the strain and dosage, cannabis can enhance creativity, reduce anxiety, and promote a sense of well-being. CBD-rich strains, on the other hand, offer more subtle effects, such as stress relief, without the high. 3, there's a synergistic combination. When combined, coffee and cannabis create a unique experience where the stimulating effects of caffeine are balanced by the relaxing properties of cannabis. For some, this combination provides a balanced and enhanced state of alert relaxation, allowing for increased focus and creativity without the jittery effects that caffeine alone can sometimes induce. This blend is especially popular among those who enjoy a leisurely morning or seek to enhance their productivity in a relaxed yet focused state. Recent studies have shown that caffeine and cannabis interact in interesting ways. One study found that caffeine can make the effects of THC stronger, which can affect thinking and memory. The findings show how important it is to understand our bodies and how they react to different combinations of substances like coffee and cannabis. While the combination can offer a delightful experience for many, it's important to approach it with mindfulness and moderation. It's advised to start with a lower dose of both substances and gradually increase as needed. Additionally, it's important to note that the effects of combining cannabis and coffee can differ based on the method of consumption, the type of coffee, and the strain of cannabis. Experimenting with different combinations can help individuals find the perfect balance for their preference and needs. Whether you're seeking a creative boost, a new way to relax, or simply curious about how this intriguing pairing, the hippie speedball offers a unique and enjoyable experience. As always, enjoy responsibly and savor the delightful harmony of these two beloved plants. Cheers to perfect pairing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cheers to the perfect pairing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know you like your coffee.
Yeah,
and you like your weed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel? What's the effects that you feel when you drink coffee and have weed?
I don't really feel like coffee for me is so much of like a pick-me-up as it is like just like a process. Like I love grinding the beans and washing my pot and making my pot. It's like a ritual.
You also like the taste.
I like I love the smell of all of it. I like the taste of it. I just love it. And then, I don't know, I guess maybe I get some, I don't know, I don't think I get much of a stimulant effect from it. I don't notice it if I do.
Right.
I have my couple cups and I'm on, my way doing my thing.
Right.
And then when you have cannabis with it, I don't know, it's like the morning ritual of like having a morning where you can have your slow cup of coffee and just like really enjoy it.
Smoke a joint.
And smoke a joint.
Just
go sit out on the patio, go putz around in the backyard. It's just nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coffee and weed.
It's great.
The CNC. This was crazy when I read this. There's a woman out there. I already told you this, but guess what her name is? Mm-hmm. Marijuana Pepsi. Marijuana is her first name. Pepsi is her middle name. From birth. She didn't change it. She was given
Mary
that name.
wants a Pepsi.
Marijuana Pepsi. But doesn't
Mary
smoke
wants
weed or
Pepsi.
drink soda. But will never change her name. Marijuana Pepsi.
Mary wants a Pepsi.
Yeah, Mary wants a Pepsi. Van Dyke, 52.
Oh, no. And then she's got like a dual last name.
Van Dyke, Vandyck, right?
Yeah.
Van Dyke.
She's
Marijuana
Dutch
Pepsi.
people would not name their kid
I
that.
think she's married to a Dutch person.
Okay.
Marijuana Pepsi Van Dyke, 52, embraces her unique name, which was given to her by her mother to inspire originality. Despite never having used drugs or fizzy drinks, she faces judgment and assumption about her background. Van Dyke, though, holds a PhD in higher educational leadership and runs the Action of Empowerment Center for Change.
The mom?
No, she does.
The daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although she often encounters discomfort from others regarding her name, she insists on being called it, viewing it as a superpower. Dun, dun, dun.
I love it. No one's going to ever forget that.
That allows her to define her own success. Despite challenges, she refuses to change her name, advocating against prejudice based on names. That's
There you
awesome.
go.
Good for you, Marijuana Pepsi.
Mary wants a Pepsi. Van Dyke.
It's almost like, what would you do for?
Klondike bar.
Yep, Marijuana Pepsi.
Mary wants a Pepsi. Would you get Mary a Pepsi?
Oh, that's crazy. Former NBA player says he smoked marijuana before interviewing Kamala Harris and jokes he might sneak something into the White House if she wins. Former NBA player Matt Barnes admitted to smoking marijuana before interviewing Vice President Kamala Harris, joking about sneaking it into the White House if she wins. During the interview, he expressed interest in discussing criminal justice issues related to cannabis, but opted for a lighter topic due to time constraints. Smoking J's before you meet the VP. Now, if you were really smooth, you would have took it with you and offered if she wanted to hit.
See if she wants to join.
See if she's truly into marijuana and cannabis like she
right?
says she is, or she's just doing the old flipperoonie. That's what I would have done. You come to the studio, Mrs. VP. We
gotta
smoke on this
partake.
show. Gotta partake. That's how we roll here. And if the VP would have said yes, I'd be like, game on. If she would have said no, I'd have said, bye-bye.
Get out of here.
This is a weed show. We smoke weed on this show. There's a difference.
right.
We do. Now, we've had some people that have been on the show waited till after the show to smoke because they didn't want to get tongue-tied and twisted. We get tongue-tied and twisted, of course, when we do the show, but I get it. Not everybody can do an hour to 2 hour show as baked as we get.
Speaking of that, where's that joint?
It's right here. It's out. We're going to smoke some more in a minute here. So I'd like to thank our friends at Midwest Terps for throwing us the weed for the show. Appreciate that, Sub-Zero.
Thank
Fantastic
you.
as always. And Mrs. Weedman,
Mr. Weedman.
got anything else to say?
Have a wonderful week, everybody, and all of you in the path of this upcoming hurricane and the one that just passed. We're just, we're here for you.
Praying
we're
for
really
you.
sorry.
Yeah.
Praying.
If anybody out there listening to the show that has a website, a legit website we can send
Donate
people to. Yeah, donate to. Please send it our way and we'll shout it on the next episode and put it on our list of stuff for the dialogue of the show. So, but we hope and pray everybody out there, you're safe. And please, all your loved ones, give them a hug tonight. Tell them you love them. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.